everyone. This is Mandy. Welcome to the God is Great podcast. I am here with guest Kelsey Harris, and we have her new book. It's called Touching Fire, and it's a book about like going from addiction to where she is now and just following God's journey and God's calling on her life. An amazing story. And how are you today, Kelsey?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here today.
You're welcome.
It's really exciting. So excited for your new podcast and the journey you're on right now and all the changes God's doing in your life. It's really cool.
It is. It is. I know both of us are definitely being taken on an interesting journey for sure. For sure. Well, something interesting about Kelsey is we actually met in an Uber ride. So I was driving, and she was my Uber passenger as she was headed to the airport, and she was going to go meet with her author or her publisher, her publishing coach for the book. And we got to chatting, and here we are a year and a half or so later, and friends, and it's been great. It's been a great journey.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun.
It has. It has.
My first ever Uber ride and my last. I haven't been on one since.
Right. That just calls me. Which is fantastic. But so in this book, and this just came in the mail today. This Amazon just delivered it for me today. But on it says, from the flames of addiction to the beauty of redemption. And we all know God definitely turns beauty from ashes. So tell me kind of the beginning of your story. What led to you eventually getting incarcerated?
Well, the story starts as probably typical you would hear from a lot of people who have struggled with addiction issues. Is I grew up in a household with an addictive father, and a mother who was trying to provide and care for everybody on her own. And so there was a lot of disconnect as far as being raised. We kind of were left to our own devices. Yeah. And I can remember being really young and just having that emptiness inside of me, that feeling that I wasn't good enough or that I couldn't find any real happiness. Just this self-loathing, self-isolation, self-deprecation, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And I was so desperate to find some other way to feel that when people started offering me drugs at 13 years old, that's what I fell into really easily. I grew up in Las Vegas, so it wasn't that weird.
Right. And drugs were probably just right there.
Yeah, easy to get, easy to do. Lots of people trying to, older people trying to create more addicts. Yeah. Or even this disconnect of not really knowing that that's what they were doing. Right. I think there's a level to that too. For some of these people in their 20s who are just doing what their thing, because then I became that too, right? The person in the 20s who didn't realize I was destroying their lives, So, so that journey took me through my whole adolescence as an addict. I dropped out of high school. I fell into with the wrong crowd, and it was almost to the more extreme side of it all. Hanging out with men in their 20s, lots of different criminal activity and behaviors and things like that. Yeah. I ended up having a baby when I was 19. And while I would love to say that cleaned me up, it didn't. But it did push us to move out of Las Vegas and to move to California. But there wasn't a part of me, even though I had the best of intentions to get out of Vegas and live in a different way, I didn't really know what I was doing. Yeah. And I had such a skewed sense of reality that I didn't know how to do life without drugs. Okay. So as soon as I got to California, I fell right back into that same life. Yeah. My mother ended up raising my son, and I ended up kind of becoming a nomad on the streets for about 6 years. Oh, wow. And during that 6-year period, I started to go to jail. I started to get arrested, small things at first. Small amounts of time at first, and then you start to collect probations and you start to collect priors, and those times they stretch a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm sure they add up in a judge's eyes.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Right.
So, at any point during that season, did you ever have a relationship with God?
Not really. I feel like there were glimpses of God all throughout the journey. So my parents were not religious in any way. The first time I remember praying was when I found out I was pregnant with my son at 19. And I tell this story in the book, but I had pretty much determined that I was not going to follow through with the pregnancy. Yeah. And I was in the car driving to a clinic, whatever that was. I didn't even know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I prayed in that moment, and a song came on the radio, God Send Me an Angel. And it was like the first time I ever prayed, and the first time I felt like I got an answer,
Yeah.
But of course that didn't stick because I continued in my addiction. But I couldn't see it in the moment, but I can see in retrospect these times where he was chasing me. So there's a story in there about an encounter with God in the hole in jail. And there's a story about other people talking to me about faith. And then it leads up to this street evangelist who comes up to me and offers me help, where that's when I really start to see that God is also working through people, right? That he's not just this big idea in the sky, but he also works through people.
Right.
Right. That made it more human, more real for me.
Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. So in and out of jail, never prison though, right?
No, so my last jail sentence, I fought a prison sentence for 2 years. When I was released from jail the last time, which was the 12th time, I was facing a prison sentence. They put me on something called a joint suspension. So it was basically you sign a paper saying you won't get in trouble for the amount of time that you should have been in prison.
Uh-huh.
And I did get in trouble.
Oh no.
So the whole story pans out in the book, but I did fight a prison sentence for 2 years, but I did not go to prison.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Jeez. All right. And then, so what was the turning point for you? Because obviously going from there to where you are now, it's night and day.
Yeah.
9-day difference. So after that, did something happen like right after that, or was there still, obviously I'll be reading the book.
Yeah.
But it's like, just touch on like kind of what led you to turn around.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me was I'm fighting this prison sentence. To try and avoid prison, I go into a rehab, and the rehab shuts down. It loses its funding right after the judge tells me I have to stay there. So I'm kind of in this place where I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. And I just trust this rehab to help me. And they checked me into a homeless shelter in Los Angeles on Skid Row, right in the middle of Skid Row, Los Angeles.
Okay.
So now I'm court ordered to stay there, to continue my program, my rehab outpatient, and to live in this homeless shelter in the heart of Skid Row.
Oh my gosh.
And I had never even I'd never heard of Skid Row, I'd never been there. And that was it was almost like a mirror in my face, right? So I didn't do great, I didn't do perfect while I was there, but I definitely had a lot of moments where I was looking at these people who were living in the tents and had pretty much given up their whole lives for their drug. Yeah. And I had a choice to make right there. I could give up on my journey and fade into the sea of tents and just disappear like them. Yeah. Or I could really figure it out and stop what I was doing, stop my own self-destruction.
Yeah.
And so I leaned that direction. I stopped my own self-destruction.
That's so good. And sometimes I think that's what it takes, is us seeing ourselves in someone else.
Yeah.
Like our behavior.
Or our potential future. I saw my future in them and I was 27 years old, right? So I'm just a young girl and living, but I'm still old enough to know better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm in this place where the things around me are so crazy. And that was my rock bottom. That was where I let my life take me. And so really being able to look at it up front and I called my mom and she wouldn't come get me. My aunt and uncle came and took me to lunch, wouldn't take me home. And I just had these moments where I'm like, man, why don't they want to help me? Yeah. And it's all this self-reflection to see how much of it was my own undoing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I know in their hearts they probably really wanted to help you.
Yeah.
But they knew that you had to go that journey yourself.
Right. And I did the journey. And I ended up getting clean on Skid Row, and then was able to move off of Skid Row and into a program in Orange County, California. Okay. And had a life-altering experience there, which I won't go into detail because the story. But it was a catalytic moment for me in my recovery. It was my radical Jesus moment, right? The moment where I knew God was real, where I heard his voice, where I felt his love and understood that there was a father out there who wanted to take care of me. And so I surrendered at that moment and nothing's been the same since. It's all been different since. And it's been almost 15 years that I've been clean.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I met you, I mean, it's only been a little over a year, but when I met you, I had no idea. Like, total 9-day difference.
Right.
And so, in going through this journey with you the last several months and seeing like pictures of you from back then, and I'm just like, wow, it's such a difference. Yeah. And God has brought you like literally complete full circle out of the pit.
Definitely.
You were definitely in the lion's den.
Yeah.
Wow. And to get clean on Skid Row.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. That's like, wow.
I think more people might do that than we realize, but
probably.
I don't know. They don't tell their stories, so we don't
hear
it as much.
Yeah. So now after that, you ended up, I know your son was living with your mom, and you moved to Idaho how long ago?
3 years yesterday.
Okay. So you and I moved like almost exactly the same time.
Okay.
So because mine will be 3 years in December.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So now what brought you to Idaho?
So once I got clean, I was living in a shelter and I was attending a Celebrate Recovery program.
Okay. And
I ended up becoming a leader of that Celebrate Recovery program. And I was a leader there for 8 years, and I did a lot of really incredible things through there. And during that journey, I met a family during the 2020 lockdowns.
Yeah.
And we were doing house church. And so in the house church, they were a lot more invested in these deeper sessions of prayer, where you could where you actually waited to hear what God said back. and I love the church, and I've spent a lot of time in the church, and I think there are a lot of things they get right, but I think there are a lot of things that they just assume everybody knows. And as someone who came from no background of Jesus or God or prayer or anything, it was an area that I think I didn't get a lot of education on that, how to have a relationship with God, how to read your Bible, how to pray. And I'm sure they were saying it, but there was no one-on-one like discipleship. So with this family, the Werfs, that's not their actual last name, but we call them the Werfs.
Okay.
They did the house church, and they taught me these things. They discipled me. They taught me how to pray and listen. And it turned out that I could hear God really clearly. I could hear dreams and words and just this really clear communication that I had with the Lord that I didn't know I had. And I knew that he was telling me to leave California, but I wasn't really sure where to go. So I did ask for some insight, and I prayed for him to send me a sign, a very specific sign. And he sent it very loud and clear. And that's all in the book as well. But he sent a very specific sign, very clear to me what I was supposed to do. I booked a flight, came here to visit, and prayed for an open door, and a door opened. And I was here 3 months later.
Wow.
Just to see what was supposed to happen here. And you know what? The first year that I was here, nothing happened. Nothing at all.
Right.
I worked from home because my job from California let me keep my job. And I worked, and I sat around, and nothing happened. I tried to volunteer at different places. Nothing would work out. And just ended up, that's how the book journey actually ended up starting.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of, I thought I was coming here to do all these great big things. And then I came here and sat around for a year.
God's like, okay, I'm removing you from everything to write a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens.
It is.
A lot of the Bible was written in
itself. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So he made you pause.
He made me pause. And then he introduced me to someone. This is a funny story too. I moved to a little apartment above a salon, and a woman downstairs handed me a book and said, I think you should read this book. I think it's great. And I read the book, and it was a woman with a similar journey as mine. And and she was in prison ministry. Okay. And she had obviously written a book. And simultaneously, a friend of mine was like, hey, do you want to go try prison ministry? Well, not really, but I'll go with you, So we go to this 3 or 4 hour training, and there's a woman sitting a couple rows ahead of me, and I'm like drawn to her, whatever. I feel like I recognize her. And it ends up being the woman whose book I had just finished reading like 3 days before at the same training that we were at. And they offer 6 or 7 of those trainings a year. So the odds of us being at the same one was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So I just went up to her and started talking to her, and we ended up having coffee. We discussed the possibility of writing, and then we discussed creating a workshop that we could do in the prisons.
Yeah.
So,
And so Kelsey has started a women's prison outreach. You want to talk about that? Tell me about that.
yeah, so we have it's called the Girl on Fire Life Skills Workshop, and it is a combination of my book and her book together. So her book is The Girl in Your Wallet by Teresa Nickel. Mine is Touching Fire. So we put the girl on fire together.
I love it. I was going to ask how it came.
Life Skills Workshop. It's a 7-week session. We're on our 3rd one now. We go into prisons, reentry facilities, homes where people are on parole, and we just take women through this journey. And it's a different topic every week. We do a teaching from Teresa, a teaching from myself. We have a small group where we go over questions. We do an activity at the end. We show a video, and we just try to hit all the different ways that people can learn, and as many different ways as we can hit the message home. And it's all based on our own experiences, but also pulling in, we do fun skits.
Yeah.
We do some more heartfelt, emotional activities. We do pick a phrase and hold it up in the air. We do a shopping exercise to help people with budgets. So it's gotten some really rave reviews from the ladies. The residents of the prison have really been inspired and encouraged by it.
Yeah.
So our big dream is to kind of get that more solidified and figure out how to get it into more places, more prisons, whether it's creating DVDs and curriculum for other people to be able to teach, or traveling, or whatever that might be. So I really feel like the book is just a piece of a bigger picture.
Definitely. Definitely like that catalyst.
Right. It's just a piece of it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read it. Because I've heard bits and pieces. I mean, you and I have gotten together, and our fun thing is to go have Mexican food.
Yeah.
Like usually about once a month.
Right.
But just to watch your journey has been huge.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yours too. Absolutely. Just the way that we're being pulled into these new seasons,
Absolutely.
God's always working. He's always pulling us into new seasons.
He is. And we've both been through definitely different journeys, but it's funny how God brings people together, like in certain seasons.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I think that you and I have met to encourage each other.
Yes.
Through this season, because when you're walking in God's path, it's not always easy, and there's not always the encouragement.
Right.
There's
it's a lonely journey sometimes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of naysayers. Well, why are you doing that? Because they don't see the vision.
Even once you do something like this, there's more people cheering for me than not, but there are people who, I can't believe you put all that on there. Or I think more than anything, they're worried that I said something about them.
Yeah,
I'm like, don't worry, you're not in it.
You're not in it. You weren't that important.
Yeah. The people who were in it are the people who left a positive impact on me, and they are in there.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the point in glorifying or glamorizing some of those big stories of my life. Sure, I could have.
Yeah.
You cannot live the life that I've lived and be in addiction for 15 years in Las Vegas of all places and not have some crazy stories.
Oh, yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure I was glamorizing and glorifying God and his way of pulling me out of it, instead of making anyone believe that life is glamorous. Because it might be in your mind at the time, but by the end, you're sitting on the side of the road all by yourself, and you have nobody.
Yeah.
And that's the story I want to hit home, because in the end, you have nobody but God sometimes.
Yeah. Absolutely. And unfortunately, drugs take you down that path that things look different, things aren't reality.
Right.
And but the reality is it's devastating.
Yeah. And in my brain, I live in this fun, free life. And in reality, I'm in sleazy motels and rundown trailer parks. And when you look at it from a clear mind, you're like, wow,
that was attractive. Right. Yeah. And even like the picture on the back of the book, I don't know if that's makeup or if that's a black eye. As a black eye. Man, that's sexy. Right?
I had 12 of those to choose from. And I did not even choose the worst one.
Oh, dang. See, and it's like, but you don't realize you're in it.
Right. Yeah.
So bad.
So true.
Yeah. Well, I am so grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you too.
Our friendship is amazing. I love it. And we just got to go on a little trip.
Yes, I can't wait for the next one.
I know. And it's so fun because we just kind of wander out into the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And I got this cave and go down this cave. It was so
It's
fun.
a normal person would probably be worried about.
Right,
but it's
exactly.
fine.
The things that he had there was insane.
Oh my gosh, the giraffe.
A giraffe, a full-size giraffe. Like
I
what?
know more, go to TikTok.
Yeah, go to my TikTok page. And so I'm gonna actually have Kelsey sign this because this just arrived today. So can you sign this for me?
It is really new. It just came out a few days ago.
Yeah, and I ordered it and just literally it got here just a few minutes before Kelsey arrived at my house. So I'm so excited. But I appreciate all of you followers and viewers, and I will tag the page for you to be able to purchase this. What is your website?
My website is kelseyjharris.com. And you just navigate through there. It gives you some images from the books to help bring the story to life.
Okay.
It also has some information about our workshop and what we're doing there. And it has a section where you can buy the book. So kelseyjharris.com.
KelseyJHarris.com. Awesome. And you are also on TikTok and Instagram, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Instagram, KelseyJoy10.
Kelsey Joy 10.
And I don't remember my TikTok.
That's okay. I'll find it and I will put it. I'm gonna have a couple pictures at the end of this podcast, as well as all of the links for finding her and then finding me.
Awesome.
Thank you all for subscribing and tuning in. Have a great day.